Hello, happy holidays, and welcome to the Scaling Deep podcast. I hope you are listening while you're doing fun things in between Christmas and New Year's, and hopefully you got a little bit of time off. This is going to be a super fun episode because don't you all love a really great review episode? So I'm really looking forward to sharing with you my top 5 learnings for this year, 2022. And they're going to be pretty good ones because I've had a lot of growth this year. So I want to give you a little bit of context about where these are coming from. Now, I had a huge year of growth, and I'm not talking so much about financially as much as the things that I have learned and how I've figured out so many things that have allowed me to do things at new levels. So again, while the quantity and volume aren't there yet, it has started, and I have been successfully selling to people into my Profitable Membership Club, my signature membership program, and in ways I never have before, and more consistently than I ever have before. In my entire 13 years of being in business, this is totally a new thing for me. So that is like a huge milestone because I didn't scale for many, many years. And then I was hesitant to because didn't want to hustle and I didn't want to use latest gimmicks and tactics. But, after years of being in the business, things start to get easier. You work out the tech systems, you have all the things dialed. You know how to write good emails, you know how to write sales copy. I know how to do Facebook ads, at least, at the minimal to get good leads in. So I've got all those skills. And so it's easier to start scaling when you're perfecting your process and you have a lot of things dialed and you know how to do them so that when you need to make changes, it's not like, oh, who do I hire to fix all this? So that is a great platform to have. And I have all that. And because I've been around for a while, I've got all my systems, I've got all my tech, I've got all my core skills. Yet it was still really difficult to figure out how to enroll new members into my program, the one that I love, with using skills that I have honed in and dialed and use my zone of genius that I'm confident delivering one-on-one or to one on a few, but I haven't successfully sold. That has changed this year, and I'm going to share with you a little bit why and how. So I'm going to go through them now, but that just gives you some context for what I've been able to do this year that I haven't been able to before, which is bring in people and enroll them into my program, the one I really want to enroll people into without coming at a significant cost, and being able to do that consistently. And now I'm actually improving upon it. So I think it's going to get even easier and easier. And that's when scaling can truly begin. So let's dive into these top learnings now. All right. So number 1, visibility is rarely the first problem that most of us have. Now, this year, I wanted to prioritize list building for sure. And I did. And I managed to grow my list quite a bit. I did it through a lot of audience sharing and some ads. And those are the 2 main ways I've grown my list because I don't do a lot of organic social media at all. And actually, I've kind of stopped doing it almost altogether. So yes, I've taken this podcast and put it on YouTube, which has been fantastic and fun. And I'm so glad that I did that. However, it hasn't created more work because it's a new channel, but it's really a podcast that I used to do just audio. Now I just do both. Okay, so super simple. But I haven't really been on any other major channels, and I haven't started anything. If anything, I've done less of it. So while that is still something that I would like to do and I will prioritize next year, my problem wasn't really visibility. Okay. Anyone can have an excellent offer and lots of visibility and have crappy sales because we don't properly communicate the value of our offer and speak to people and connect with them directly enough for them to want to buy or to see themselves in the problem or see our solution as something desirable that they can't get elsewhere. And one of the things that I was doing well, like I know how to write copy, but I wasn't really writing great sales page copy. And I wasn't really getting at the core thoughts in people's heads enough to get more and more people to take the leap, as well as making sure that my solution was unique enough and was really speaking to them in different language than they have seen out there. So that's what I've been working on in the last few weeks. Yes, I've had some time off, but I've also recognized and had some validation and feedback from my mentor that needed some work. So really making sure that we have a unique selling proposition, that it is different, that it is compelling, and it's unforgettable is extremely important in order to sell online, in order to sell in a scaled capacity where people might have just hopped on our list or just heard about this or just landed on our sales page and been not warmed up for a while. So that is a huge learning for me, is spending more time on perfecting our USP, making it stronger, making it irresistible, and giving people a better chance to get to know us and our style and our sophistication and experience right away. Because even if they don't buy instantly, you're going to leave them with a great lasting impression. And then so the next time the sales period or sales opportunity comes around for them, they've already been thinking about it. They have been questioning whether they should do it, and then they're more likely to do it again. So I have what I call, and what I help my members with inside the Profitable Membership Club, is the 1% rule. And that is about making sure that you're selling at least 1% of the people who are in your audience and engaged, like just meaning they're opening your emails or they're seeing your stuff. And that might seem like a small number to a lot of people, because if you have a launch that's very specific and you have, say, 500 people who hop into a challenge, well, you want to ideally sell more than 1% to the people in that challenge. But if you had a list of 5,000 people, I'm talking more about systems that are actually selling to those 5,000 engaged people who've opened in the last 3 months. So that is where you can start to gauge your success, is are you consistently able to sell at that 1% level? Okay, so huge learning, huge new rule for me, and a goal for me to try to reach, and know that every time I get closer to that goal, as long as I'm launching evergreen, which is how I'm doing it, meaning everyone who gets a chance to see my offer, then that needs to be as close to 1% as possible. Okay, second, learning on the visibility note, audience building through sharing is a very fast list builder, and I highly recommend it. I was on a lot of bundles and summits this year, and my list grew quite a bit for a very low amount, which is excellent, because if we can do that, we are getting a whole, it's similar to being on social media or people who get viral TikToks and all of a sudden they have like thousands of people joining. Maybe the quality isn't as high. Maybe not everyone who gets in to something might be that interested enough or that committed. However, some of them will be, and it's a great chance to be able to like weed out at least people who are more serious in your topic for the longer term, because some of them will stick around. A lot of them will stick around, and you can just delete the ones who are totally gone cold, but you'll build up your list quickly, and you'll also be coming from a warmer contact. So depending on how you do it, like a bundle, of course, there's going to be tons of people who just join and they're partially interested in your topic, but not enough to really consider buying from you anytime too soon. But then there are things like podcasts. Like I've had a few members recently jump into the Profitable Membership Club based on them hearing me on a podcast. And one of them was a very small boutique style one. And they heard me, they wanted this thing. They were interested in memberships and they hopped on right away and bought. So audience sharing, I think by far is the best thing to do. If you want to go on social media and do lots of reels and stuff, then, go for it. But it's not everyone's cup of tea, and it's a bit more of a time commitment than doing something that you can offer into a package where other people are going to be promoting it on your behalf, right? That's obviously the least time consuming. Okay. And then I've also had success with Facebook ads, and that has been more challenging to figure out. At the same time, now that I've figured out how to make my hook a little bit more captivating and a little bit more specific and a little bit more sophisticated, I'm starting to see people who are joining and then they're buying. Not loads, but I'm still earning more than I'm spending. And the benefit of that is that you're not competing with a whole bunch of people in a bundle who are getting on a whole bunch of lists. They're just really getting on potentially your list, but they also, some of them, because they don't know you, and they're just saying, oh, I just want to sign up for this, but I'm not really planning to read the contents, open the emails or whatever. I mean, you'll always have some of that. So list building does matter, but you can do it simply. You don't have to do it all. You want to start with a couple things that work really well, but I would suggest audience sharing first and testing your offers with that. Okay, third, you have got to sell more than you realize. That was my biggest learning this year. Was I was trying to sell too infrequently to the people in my world. I was asking them to join a workshop and then making an offer to them. So I would get way fewer people even paying attention to the workshop or not having time to join the workshop. And not everybody needs to attend a workshop to join your program. And that was a mistake I made because I had always seen launches done by huge mass marketers who pare down their audience, who they're selling to, and they don't necessarily sell to people who aren't engaged in that launch event. But that doesn't work so well for a smaller business with a smaller list. We want to be able to get our offer in front of our audience often, like every 2 months, I would say at a minimum. And that was massive for me this year because I really struggled to know when to sell and who to sell to. And that really held me back, and it actually reduce the amount of sales because people actually want to see our offers. And just because they don't buy right away does not mean that they aren't interested ever. As long as they're opening and reading and not unsubscribing, they just might not be ready right now. So it's our job to keep putting our offer in front of them in helpful, well-communicated ways that help them learn something new, help them understand their problem, and give them ideas on ways that they could be more successful so that they also see the value of what we can offer to them. And we want to do that often because we kind of want to wear people down. And I know that might sound a bit crazy, but as long as we think we have something that can really help them, we do really want them to consider buying, or they're really just not interested, and then they will just get off that list, or they'll just say, I'm not ready yet, but then eventually they will likely buy. I have a client who I used to run ads for, and she sometimes has people who've been on our list for 7 years and finally buy. So we really want to just assume that if they're staying there, then keep showing them because they are thinking about it and they are not turned off enough that they are unsubscribing. And of course, if they're just ignoring and not opening at all, I definitely encourage you to clean up the list and unsubscribe them so that you have a better sense of who's on there, and it keeps that list really active, and you can better gauge the interest and gauge how well you're doing. So that sales system is critical, and that's exactly what I teach inside the club, is just how to keep consistently selling. And I like to use a combination of evergreen, meaning like everyone sees what we have. They're seeing it repetitively, like at least a few times a year. And then we can do live launch offers or bonuses that are simple. They don't have to be giant events. They can even just simply be an email series like I did over Black Friday, which is about 6 emails. So it took me and my assistant about 4 or 5 hours to create and then add into the system and all that stuff. And I got a bunch of new members in, and they are people who had already seen my offer even a month and a half prior and didn't buy. So that's just to show you the value of hitting people when they're actually ready to pay attention, because oftentimes people are just simply looking at other things or busy with other aspects of their life. So that's why you want to make sure they are seeing your offer enough because they're probably just not seeing it. And that's our mistake we make in sales. you need support if you want to scale. You absolutely 100% need high quality support. Now, that isn't just a if you can, that is a must, because if you are trying to grow a scalable business, it's got to hit critical mass and it's got to gain momentum and keep gaining momentum, or it becomes too much work, not profitable enough, and it just won't work out. Scaling is a sophisticated strategy. One-to-many is not for the faint at heart. If you have chosen to do this, if you want to do this, then there are a lot of things that need to come together, and we simply cannot see all of them. We cannot see all of the holes because we're too close to it. And we also can't just have, one-on-one sales conversations and adapt our conversation based on the person we're speaking to. And because of that, we have to line up that positioning I talked about earlier. We have to make sure we've got a sales system that really speaks to them and that we feel confident putting out there regularly. And we have to fix the holes that we have. And we don't sometimes even know what those holes and blind spots are because it's impossible to see. So we'll need those outside eyes. So every once in a while, I see somebody rant about people paying too much for high level coaches. But I really think that we can spend more money on visibility and hire services for people to get more visibility for us. And then they have those people come back to mediocre brands and offers that are confusing and unclear and just are not that exciting. And we will not get the sale. So I think that making sure we invest in the right support, like support if you are scaling, you need to have somebody who is scaling or has scaled and is capable of using their wisdom to share it with you. So having a strong mentor is important. It may not be cheap. It may not be a free giant group, but it's critical to making sure that you're making those improvements and not getting tired, disappointed, getting down on everything. I mean, I simply hit a wall in the last few months where I was like, I have all these options and I don't know what to do. Well, it turned out that I still had to do some of those things, but I had more important things further up the value chain that I needed to work on, which was my own unique selling proposition, my irresistible brand. And that is where that advice was golden. And if it didn't come from someone who I respected and trusted, then I may have not spent the time on it, which I think is going to make a big difference going forward. So that is important. And that's where if you are feeling like you're not sure what is working and what isn't working, then this is where you need some eyeballs on your brand. And it doesn't have to be private one-on-one, hour by hour coaching, but it just means you have to have access to someone who is willing to give you some personal level of feedback, right? I do that inside the Profitable Membership Club. And I also have people inside the club who buy strategy sessions from me at a reduced rate because they're club members and they love them. They're so valuable in getting them clear on their priorities and what to work on next, and also validating their positioning and so I can let them know and I think they've got it dialed, or whether or not they could narrow it even further. If you are the smartest person in the room, then perhaps you are not in the right room. You definitely want to surround yourself by people and a mentor who has a lot of knowledge and experience, and people who are successful in the thing that you need to learn, so that you are not wasting your time getting kind of like either loose advice or advice that's too quick to come up with a solution that isn't specific enough to your situation. And that's really important. So I highly recommend it. If you're feeling stuck, that's your next move. I'm curious to know, what are your top learnings of 2022? You can pop into my free Facebook group, Membership Site Mastery with Lisa Princik, and let me know what that is. We'd all love to hear from you because we're super rooting for you in 2023. It's still a great time to grow a membership program. It is still the perfect time to do it. And all you need to do is work on some of these core things and you will be on your way. So thanks for being here with me here in 2022. And I cannot wait to see you as soon as the clocks turn over to 2023. Bye for now.